Welcome to the Claims Underground podcast with your hosts, Corey Locke and Troy Willis, where we help policyholders just like you understand your policy and how to navigate through an insurance claim. We advocate for homeowners as well as businesses when insurance companies won't pay. So if you're tired of getting the runaround and ready to find out what's really going on, then let's get down to business and learn from the insurance claims experts, Corey Locke and Troy Willis.
Good evening. Welcome back to Claims Underground. We're glad to have you guys back. My name is Troy Willis. My co-host here is Corey Locke. I am a licensed public adjuster. I am also an expert witness. I am certified in some IRCRC protocols for remediation. I am also a ex-builder, a building consultant and an ex-builder, as well as I write large loss estimates for over the last 30 years. And my co-host got a resume that's just so impeccable, it's going to knock you off your feet. Let's go for it, Corey. Tell them what you got.
Yeah, welcome to Claims Underground. It's Corey Locke here, public adjuster and adjuster now 35 years this month. So got a background that involves large loss, small loss. I'm a expert witness estimator for 30 years. Also IICRC triple master, ACAC smoke and fire consultant. And very happy to be here tonight because we're going to be talking in the brand new year here. Troy, we're going to be talking about our predictions for 2023. And I'm not sure what we're going to all talk about, but I think we're starting out the year with an understanding that we had an exceptionally large event out in Florida, and that's going to cause a ripple effect as I feel it out here and in the other areas. I'm not sure what your thinking is on this, but my thinking on 2023 is this event in Florida, where there's more than 1 million claims, is going to do a couple different things. It's going to basically stretch the resources of the insurance company and their attention span to anything that's not Florida. Florida is taking up the lion's share of resources that insurance companies have. Not that they had a lot, but any resources that they have in the office are being fully utilized by Florida. And what they're not being utilized, they're outsourcing. So a lot of 2023, we're going to see outsourcing of the adjustment to independents. Not that we didn't see this, but I think we're going to see this in high def and in high speed. We're going to see a lot of adjusters sitting in offices because there's not enough personnel. And I don't know if you're seeing it, but I am. You look at the signature line for Allstate, for State Farm, for any number of the carriers, it's going to say outside resource pilot, outside resource Renfro, any number of ones. But that person is not a direct employee of that particular insurance company. As you call them seat fillers. Not that we're
They're never happy with it, but it's the truth.
they're not happy with it, but that's what they are. They're a body to a problem. So 2023 is going to see a lot of people that are sitting in seats that they may or may not have a great deal of experience. And they definitely won't have any authority. The authority, if you're starting to see people that are sitting there and they're, outside resource, that means that they have zero authority to resolve your issue. They're basically, the call center. That's basically, they're going to make notes in a file. They're going to refer your questions to someone higher on up. Likely their supervisor is also an outside resource. And you're not going to get the claim service that you would expect. And in 2022, we had a lot of fall off. I think you and I have talked about this numerous times. The fall off for the follow through for 2022 was astronomical for what was not occurring as the normal course of business for claims handling. It was not timely. It was not thorough. It was just dollars at the wall, no letters, no estimates. It was just not the it was not the it was not what you paid for. If you were paying for a policy, it was not what you were expecting. No
I
one
agree
would.
with that.
You would fire that person if you ever had them again do business with you in that same manner. So, but unfortunately, you're hooked in with them until they resolve your issue. So, I think 2023 is going to see a large number of people become more and more dissatisfied with their carrier outsourcing their claims handling. uh, you remember a long time ago, when I say long time ago, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that AT&T and other people used to outsource their claims, their call centers to Dubai and
Hmm.
other Middle East areas because it was cheaper
Hmm.
for them to do. Same thing's now happening with the insurance market. The insurance claims are now being outsourced to call centers, to outside resource people. And I know you're seeing this because we're talking about it on Facebook. It's exploding. The the market to train adjusters is phenomenal. People are jumping out of this, whatever they're doing, into adjustment. Uh,
Hmm.
you remember that with that thing I was talking to you about this last week about the woman who was working in fast food?
At Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, there was a post. God love them. There was a post and then saying, "My daughter is leaving her job at Chick-fil-A and now she's going to be an adjuster." And they posted this and they were quite pleased and happy. I'm glad she got a job. It's hard out here, God knows. But I'm glad she got a job. But this is, you know,
That's the
that,
problem.
it's a problem because I think we're seeing a lot of people want to jump into adjusting like they jumped into Uber Eats or Lyft. This is not a gig.
Yeah.
This is not a hustle. This is a profession.
Yeah.
And too often we're seeing right now is people are giving them crash courses in how to be an adjuster and it's lacking. I'm not knocking that that they're trying to train someone. Thank you very much for doing so, but it's not of a professional level that's going to be sustainable. It's just basically to get herds and herds and herds of bodies and throw them into the mix.
But it's
So
hurting our consumers, though.
it's hurting our consumers majorly.
Mhm.
It is, and right now, our consumers are believing that they purchased a product that's going to be there at the time of their greatest need. But what we're finding is that, your Uber Eats delivery guy is now your adjuster. And that's not something I'm just making up.
It's the truth.
It's just not something I'm just making fun of just because it's easy to make fun of. It's the reality.
I
It's
mean,
a
like you said,
reality.
after the flood, they was coming out of everywhere, all over social media, just trying to
Mhm.
license up to do this, but they have no experience in what this is. They don't know
Right,
what this is.
right. You can't fully train an adjuster, in 5 days.
You once told me, and I gotta say, it is so true. You said to become a good adjuster, it takes a minimum of 6 years. And I remember that conversation from day one that we had. And it's funny because the truth of the matter is, it probably takes you half the time to learn the codes. I think that's half the years, 3 years to learn the codes, and then to learn how they apply and how they effective. I just finished having this conversation with Victoria over a case that we were looking at. There was a call in, and she really wanted to help the people, and it just none of it made any sense in it. You know what I mean? In no kind of way. He hadn't filed a claim yet, so it was a lot that wasn't there. He don't know what was going on. She said, "Well, can I at least just tell him?" I said, "Absolutely. You have to always be careful what you say." I said, "But he just needs to understand." The problem was he never read his policy, so he don't understand.
Mhm.
He gonna call somebody that may have be the wrong person because you're looking for some kind of help, but it's sometimes you can and cannot help people. And then when you have these kind of things going on with the carriers, there's having some adjuster go out, even to one of my recent clients, that 12 minutes. I mean, he did a full inspection in 12 minutes on her slab. I mean, underneath. You got a leak underneath the house in 12 minutes. Under that, under the 2019 manual that the Department of Insurance put out, we was talking about earlier on how to adjust in California. It talks about that time putting an investigation in promptly. And putting time into really investigating and not 12 minutes and what you got to do. You guys got to be responsible. And I think one thing that hasn't been done with this situation that I think this year, hopefully they'll do more with the department. Hopefully for 2023 and start holding these adjusters more accountable. I went over that again today, and it's funny. I read that years ago. I mean, literally, and it's like you feel like you kind of reading something all over again. And it talks about holding adjusters accountable who works for third parties, who may not even be licensed, that
Right.
work underneath that person's license. And if they work for a firm, like we talk about these TPAs, and they don't comply to these, what needs to be done in the regs, and they in violation, then they can even cite the firm and suspend and revoke their license. But none of that's ever done on that end of it. I mean, they never do anything but send a letter and say either it's in our jurisdiction, we'll take a look into this, or it's going to be basically is nothing we can do. We don't enforce payment. We don't enforce. We look at the law. I hope 2023 changed the way a lot of people are doing things, because we're seeing that the industry is, they go into all these ways to minimize what they put out. We'll try new programs that, this ought to lower the table, and you ain't got these people trained in the programs you got. I mean, they think you could just cut, copy, and paste and throw it into each room and you got an estimate. That's not estimating.
No, no, you have to actually know you have to know what you're looking at. You have to know how to discern how that translates into your estimating program, and you have to know your responsibilities to restore the insured to a pre-loss condition. I try to emphasize in one of the Facebook groups that, and someone said this in one of the Facebook groups, that they're retired military and they're jumping into an adjustment, and will I fit in there? And I said, absolutely. I think you, as a trained military veteran, are probably the best person to come into this business, because number one, you're trained to take orders. Number two, you're trained to discern the military code. Number three, you're putting yourself in harm's way of someone else. You've already been trained to do that. As an adjuster, you're being asked to digest uh, boot camp into a way that mentally you're as fatigued as you were probably physically in your boot camp when you were in the military service. But I was telling this particular person, this is just boot camp. You made it through the first time, you'll make it through the second time. But if you take seriously this profession, and this profession teaches you that the military code that you're already made aware of, that you were penalized severely if you failed to follow.
That's right.
As a profession, if you're not following the insurance code, if you're not following the policy, if you're not following OSHA, if you're not following the obligations of your estimating program, if you're not following your professional ethics, you're failing in the same manner. And
I
that the
agree with
fact
that.
and the fact that you're standing up as an adjuster, you will be put in harm's way between yourself and the carrier and their necessary requirements of you as a job. But you're also going to have to know your ethical requirements as a licensed professional to stand up for the person that you're there to assist, to protect, which is the insured, to put them back to a pre-loss condition. If they can take that to heart, and take that this is a profession and not Uber Eats or Lyft driver, pickups, guess what? We might have a whole nother generation of adjusters that might that might fulfill the obligation that we
Well,
all.
I think that so many of them want to get on now with the catastrophes because they've heard people speak about what it used to be like to go out and do cat losses, as we called
Right.
them. You can go out to these places and make $100,000 a month like it was nothing, but you're only there for so many months and you're gone, and
Right.
you're killing 150, 200 cases a month. I worked at a pace to where even as an independent adjuster, I was slamming down 80 to 120 claims a month. And so I know the type of work that people can get done and do. And a lot of that was large loss. So imagine going out there and they don't even nearly adjust when catastrophe come. They do the worst job I've ever seen, and then they make it act like they got understanding. They're worse than the guy that came from Chick-fil-A, to be honest with you. Sometime, I mean, they come out there and they write you such a bad estimate, knowing that it's got to go through this process just to get reviewed all over again. And the insurer was better off from the start in the beginning when Mister didn't know nothing, new claims adjuster guy. You know what I mean? They were much better off to set the pace with this guy. It just said, I hope that we keep seeing these catastrophes happen. From California just got slammed with flooding like crazy over this week, and it's still coming down. Florida took such a beating like it did. Tornadoes all over the mid-coast are just ripping through places, and you're seeing the catastrophes just rise all over the place. And the question gets to be, are you prepared when it happens to you? You know how many people that has earthquake insurance in California that make you just will be you would like, there's no way. And we keep having earthquakes. We just had another one in Humboldt County, another one, 5 point something.
Yeah, we did.
Those are the things, I guess, from being in this business so long. Insurance is just one that you just don't not have, but you just got to know how to use it. And you have to know how to enforce that contract you got between you and your carrier.
So, leaving them with the last word that we have for 2023, what would you think that we need to impart upon our listeners for predictions for 2023? What can they take away from this podcast that maybe they can assert for themselves?
I'd say if I was to give a best word of that advice, it would be read your policy. If you read your policy, it allows you to weaponize yourself in a way that you minimize mistakes that you make that you didn't know that you shouldn't make, but it gives you a better understanding of what your contract is that you actually paid for. You won't be so surprised, and you know how to utilize what it is in that policy. The policy isn't always so bad. It's just how you understand it and how you use it to the benefits that is written under, because you get what you pay for. So I would leave people with that. Read your policy. What you don't understand, reach out to try to understand. Get on YouTube, try to understand. Follow us. You get all the real deal. You never go wrong. We giving it to you raw like it is. And I think that'll get a lot of our people through what's coming for 2023. I think, every year it seems to keeps getting larger and larger with what's going on around the country at the same time. It used to be in parts, one close, fire stop, then the floods come, then the tornadoes. Now it's just like everything at one time. We atmospheric, floods out here and storms. I mean, come on, we getting killed out here. Snow, floods. This is California, man. I mean, nobody back home believes me when I say we got all this going on out here. I'm telling you, it's just as cold here as it is on the East Coast, 30,
Right.
40 degrees. It's like, I just told my best friend today, I say, a snowman needs a coat out here. It's cold. It's cold. This is California. So, but that's my thought for the day. Read your policy.
I appreciate that, and I can't even add anything to that. So once again, this is the Claims Underground. I'm Corey Locke. I'm so pleased that you joined us for our predictions of 2023. Make sure you subscribe. Guys, make sure that you spread the word to your family and your friends. Subscribe to us. We're up on all the podcasts, all the platforms. Hit us up on the QR code. Check us out there. We've got some merchandise up there. We also have a tip jar. It helps us keep us rolling along. And we do appreciate that you checked us out, and spread the word. This is Corey Locke. Thanks for checking in.
Troy Wallace, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for listening to the Claims Underground podcast. We hope you enjoyed this segment. If you need more information on insurance policies, feel free to check out our website, www.claimsunderground.com. And remember, when the insurance companies won't pay, we're here to help. Until next time.